Welcome back to Homesteading with the Zimmermans, where we work hard and play hard on our little corner of land in Iowa. My husband and I were born and raised Old Order Mennonite, or horse and buggy Mennonite, as some refer to them as. And although we are no longer part of that culture or community, we are intentional about passing on the old-fashioned skills of our childhood to the next generation. Good morning. The star of today's video is going to be my salsa recipe. And there's going to be a lot of other things that I show in today's video, but I'm going to walk you through the steps for making salsa using my aunt's recipe. We also made blueberry pie filling, and we canned some turkey, all of which I'm going to show and leave you the instructions, the detailed printable instructions in the description. Now, I've had a couple people say that they wish I wouldn't use Dropbox because they don't want to purchase a Dropbox subscription. You don't have to. Just bypass the link that says, you know, buy your Dropbox subscription and click download anyway, and you'll be able to download the PDF file. I have dozens and dozens, probably hundreds of documents and recipes in my Dropbox, and I don't pay for a subscription. So you shouldn't have to either. Anyway, today is salsa day. It's a very busy day. So I have picked all my stuff already, and I'm just waiting for the kids to get up to go do chores. I'm chomping at the bit to get started, but it is not yet 7:30, which is what time I normally get them up. And because I didn't tell them last night that we were going to get up early, so normally if I plan to get started early on a day, I will tell them before they go to bed. I'll say, hey, I'm getting you up at 7 tomorrow morning because we have a lot to do. I didn't do that last night, so I don't feel like it would be respectful for me to just, you know, have them get up earlier than normal. But this is the only tomatoes that I have found that are ripe. And on Monday morning, I woke up and there was fall in the air. And I started panicking a little bit because I'm like, I have not canned any tomato products yet. Because our tomatoes just aren't getting ripe. So part of the problem is we had a very dry June, so that slowed everything down. Today is salsa making day, and I hope to make a lot of salsa this year because last winter, I ran out of salsa before Christmas because the little boys, the 3 younger boys, learned to love salsa, and they would each go through a pint as an after-school snack. So this year I'm canning it in quarts, and I'm making that my priority tomato product that I can, just because they loved it so much as an after-school snack. So instead of focusing all my efforts on making pasta sauce, I'm going to make salsa my priority, and then pasta sauce will be second on my list of priorities to make with my tomatoes. So next week we are forecasted to have temperatures back in the 90s. So probably next week I'll have lots of tomatoes that are ready as well. And I realize that this is probably terrible lighting for filming a YouTube video, but there's something about that morning sun on my face that I cannot resist. So I am in the garden, and I have picked tomatoes for salsa project. These are all, they were labeled delicious, but they're apparently a yellow delicious and not a red delicious, and I didn't know that. So all of these back here are already bad because I was waiting and waiting for them to turn red, and they never turned red because they're yellow tomatoes. So I'm gonna pick all these up and take them to the pigs. But I've got this bucket full, and I've also got a bucket full of red ones. Now, the yellow tomatoes, the reason I don't normally plant yellow tomatoes is because they're known to be lower acid, and tomatoes are kind of borderline acid anyway for water bathing, and so I don't normally plant yellow tomatoes because all of my tomato products that I want to can, I want to water bath. But since I'm making salsa, a lot of salsa this year, it actually works out really good because my salsa recipe gets vinegar in it. So that brings the acid level up anyway. So I'm gonna use these yellow tomatoes and I'm gonna make lots of salsa this year, which is actually a really good thing. So God kind of watched out for me and said, here you go, let's try yellow tomatoes. All right, there's our peppers. Got a couple jalapenos.
Hey, Mom, can we keep that the one scissors out here? Because I want to make one of those little men.
Okay. Yep, that scissor can stay out here.
I think that's a long.
Is that going to be long enough?
Yep.
What else do you need?
Probably had a better head. And make it flat.
You gotta make sure that's flat.
Make the hole in it. Now, I made it longer.
All right.
You're ready.
We are ready to make salsa. First thing we're going to do is wash our tomatoes and get those chopped up.
And these are the greenies.
Thanks, I think I'll use this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is just core the tomatoes, take any bad parts off, and then I'm gonna cut them in a way that fits on our chopper.
Chopper, chopper, chopper.
And if they're little, I'm not even gonna bother taking the core out.
Mom, should I stop?
Not yet.
Do you need one like this?
So I'm gonna take this large part off that's bad. So most salsa recipes will ask you to peel and take the seeds off of your tomatoes. And the reason for this is that peels and seeds can cause an unwanted texture in salsa. But this is the way I've been making salsa for all of the years that I've had family eating salsa, and they still prefer my salsa over any store-bought salsa. So now we're gonna chop the tomatoes. There you go. So then, when we've chopped them, we strain them to get all the extra liquid out. Yep, go ahead and dump them, Kendrick. There we go. We're just gonna strain all the extra liquid out because that will help our salsa be a little thicker. So now it's time to get started on the peppers. And no, these are not hot peppers. These are just a mild green pepper. I thought they were bell peppers, but they're not shaped like a bell pepper, even though they taste just like a bell pepper. So we just cut these in half and take the seeds out. So for the onions and the peppers, we use the smaller grid to cut them into tinier chunks. And this is the one that we use to cut the tomatoes. The tomatoes go in coarser chunks. And then my recipe calls for 3 jalapenos. And if you want hot salsa, you're going to have to leave the seeds of the jalapenos in. I want just a mild or a medium salsa, so I'm just leaving the seeds from 1 jalapeno intact. Okay, we're pressing the garlic in. Good job, Kendrick. Next, we're going to chop up some cilantro. Okay, we're going to add all our ingredients to the pot. Okay, now we need 3 tablespoons of salt. Yep, that works. 1, 2, 3. Very good. So now we're going to add our cumin and our chili powder. So now we're going to mix it all together and we're going to taste it and adjust the salt if needed. How is it? Is it good?
No. We're gonna make spicy ones too.
No, I don't think I'll need to make spicy ones. As I was tasting it, I kept thinking there's something missing, but didn't know what. So I finally sent Hadassah to bring me the recipe book, and I had forgotten the vinegar.
Do you think she would know how to make salsa? No, but I think she would know how to eat salsa.
So while the boys clean up outside and the salsa simmers away, I'm going to hurry up, wash up some quart jars and prepare them for canning. So I'm going to keep this cooking at a pretty fast rate for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then I'm going to evaluate and see how much of the liquid has evaporated and see if I need to thicken it at all. So this has been cooking for about 30 minutes. And you can see how it's gotten nice and thick. So I'm not going to even add any thickener to it. And we are just going to ladle it into jars. So there we go. We've got 7 beautiful jars of fresh salsa. And don't forget to see the link in the description for my favorite canning lids and also a discount code. Putting my jars of hot salsa into my water bath canner. Now, because the product in my jar is hot, I need to start my water bath with hot water. So it's as simple as that. Whatever the temperature in your jars is, that's what temperature of water you want to start with. And you don't have to actually take the temperature. I just know that the salsa is very hot, like almost boiling. So the water that I'm adding is as hot as it'll get from my tap. I'm not heating the water or anything like that. I'm just using hot tap water. And then we'll turn it on and we're gonna water bath these for 10 minutes and then we'll be done. So it's fairly breezy today. So I've put my wind guard around the front of my Camp Chef just to try and block some of that wind from the burner. So one of the other things that we did this week was we canned some turkey. What happened is we brought a beef home to put in our freezer, and that meant I had to find every little nook and cranny in our freezer for this beef. And I found 2 whole turkeys that we raised last fall and harvested around Thanksgiving. So what I did was I put them in the roaster. I put them in the roaster from frozen at like 350 degrees until they were defrosted. And then I turned them down to like 200 and I left them in there for about 24 hours. And then I pick all the meat out and let it cool until it's cool enough to handle. Once it's cool enough to handle, I pick it all off of the bones and, take anything out that I don't want to can. And then I take all the meat and stuff it into jars. If I have bigger pieces, like breast pieces, I chop that up before I put it into the jars. So after we've filled all the jars with turkey, we take the broth that was created from roasting the turkey for so long, and we fill each jar with broth and then pressure can for 45 minutes at 15 pounds of pressure. And I had 1 casualty with this batch, and because of where the jar broke, like just the bottom broke out, I am blaming this on a faulty jar and not anything that I did. So now that the turkeys are all done, I'm going to start working on the blueberries. First thing we're going to do is wash them and remove any stems or bad ones. So because we don't yet grow enough of blueberries here on the homestead, we have to buy the blueberries, which makes them an expensive fruit to can. So what I do is I usually buy 1 box and turn that into pie filling for special occasions, and then we focus most of our fruit preserving efforts on the fruit that grows in abundance here on the homestead, like cherries and apples and pears and raspberries and strawberries. So in my pot I've got water and sugar and salt, and I am heating that together to dissolve the sugar and salt. So I use the same basic recipe for all of my canned pie fillings, and I just tweak it a little bit according to what fruit I'm using. So when I make sour cherry pie filling, I add a little more sugar. When I make blueberry pie filling, I add some lemon juice because blueberries are a little bland otherwise, and the lemon juice just brings out more flavor. And what's the other one? Oh, when I make apple pie filling, I add some cinnamon. So the basic pie filling recipe for canning will be in the, I'll link it in the description. So here I've got my clear gel. I'm gonna mix it with my 2 cups of water.
Blueberry pie filling. Oh, blueberry pie?
Yeah.
How are you gonna make blueberries pie, Mom, today?
Not today.
When?
Well, it takes a couple days for the, takes a couple weeks for the pie filling to really taste real good. So now that my water with my sugar and lemon juice and a little bit of salt is boiling, I'm going to add my thickener, which is ThermFlow or clear gel. And immediately it's going to get thick. And I'm just going to keep stirring it until the white color is gone and it has more of a clear color. And then I'm going to remove it from the heat. Now I'm going to add all my blueberries. We're just gonna stir the blueberries in.
Look.
What, you got a tiny one?
Oh, that looks good. Mommy, look at that. Ooh. And then they break up.
They do
Then
kind
we,
of
like,
break down
smush them.
when we can them.
Ooh, that's hot. It's like a nice warm fire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good.
So anytime that you're making pie filling like this and the fruit is still raw, when you put it in the jars, you want to leave a lot more headspace than you normally would. Like I leave a good 2 inches of headspace because when you water bath can it, that fruit is going to expand. And if you don't leave enough headspace, it's all going to boil out and that'll affect your seal rate. So now we are going to water bath this blueberry pie filling, and we're going to water bath it for 20 minutes. And I am using water from the hose, even though my pie filling's warm, because the hose has been laying in the sun and the water from the hose is warm. So there we go, 20 minutes later, and the blueberry pie filling is all done. And this is gonna make some delicious pies for Thanksgiving and Christmas or a special birthday request. Turkey. So we've marked all the turkey with a T, so that you guys don't get it mixed up with the chicken. Okay, and I will put it with the rest of the turkey. Turkey broth, turkey,
Jelly, so
G. So I did end up making grape jelly, but my video got too long. I'm gonna have to save the grape jam or jelly and the way I make it for next week's video. But I think I got 7 half pints of grape jelly. pie filling. Now, what do we got? Salsa. Where shall we put that? That's where applesauce goes. Let's put them here for now. Okay, that brings us to the conclusion of this week's YouTube video. And like I said earlier, I woke up on Monday morning and I was in a panic because I didn't feel like I had done a lot of preserving yet. But now that I've spent some time down here and kind of took stock of what I have, it's really just things like bringing in the potatoes and hopefully getting a lot more tomatoes, because I really only have 9 jars of pasta sauce left and I need a total of 50 to 70 jars of pasta sauce. So we've got to start with the salsa, I think. I'm going to make one more batch of salsa and then I'm going to make some pasta sauce. And then hopefully have time for some tomato juice as well. The other thing is I still need some carrots. I'll can some carrots, but I'll also just keep some down here in the cold room for fresh eating. But thank you everybody for watching. And next week I am going to show you how to make grape jam. And also, you won't be needing any pectin. It's just Grandma's old-fashioned way of using grape jam, of making grape jam. And I'm also going to show you what to do with your tomatoes if you live in a climate where you never get a full crop, because the tomatoes never mature before your fall harvest, your fall frost happens. So I'm going to be showing you what to do with your tomatoes next week. Oh, one more thing. If you want more detailed instructions on canning the turkey, I'm going to link in the description the video that I posted last fall on canning chicken, and you'll just follow exactly the same steps for turkey as you did for chicken. And then also in the description, I'm going to post the link to a video that I did a while ago on cherry pie filling, because there's more detailed instructions than what I gave today with doing my blueberry pie filling. But like I said, all pie filling, I just adjust the sugar a little bit, depends on what fruit I'm using. So if you want more detailed instructions, I'm going to link the video about cherry pie filling where I did more in-depth teaching on how to do pie filling. So we will see you all next week.